Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Zurriane Bennett here. And as always, we hope we find you in the best of health, wealth, happiness, and good spirits. Today, we're going to talk about actually the 5 disciplines of execution. Now, what are the 5 disciplines of execution? Well, the 5 disciplines of execution are focus. They're also measure and score. They're also translating those lofty goals into action. They're also us holding each other responsible or holding each other accountable. And the fifth one is really you and I. It's us. So what I'd like to do today is actually talk to you about, again, the 4 disciplines of execution and how through using these 4 disciplines of execution, it can help you not only if you're an entrepreneur, but it can also help you on your job. It can help you with your family. It can help you with other things so that you can reach the goals that you want to reach. Franklin Covey Association, or Franklin Covey, Stephen Covey's association, the late great Stephen Covey, came up with a word, or I guess you could say not even a word. He came up with some initials, and those initials are very important. And why are they very important? They're very important because we all have them. We all have what Franklin Covey calls WIP, excuse me, WIP, excuse me, not WIP, WIG. I don't know why I said P, human error. Anyway, WIG. Now, what's WIG stand for? What WIG stands for is wildly important goals. We all have wildly important goals. We also all have things that we dream of happening and things that we want to happen. So today we're going to talk about 5 of the points to help you to actually realize your dreams, to realize your goals, to realize and put into execution the things that you want to do by giving you the disciplines. So without any further ado and not wasting any more of your time, or not wasting any of your time, we're going to talk about number 1. What is number 1? Number 1 is focus. A human being can only really focus effectively on one thing at a time. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, you might have it up to 3 by now. You know, as Jim Rohn used to say, he's like, you know, if you could get 3 out of 10, you know, he was doing really good. But usually the most is probably about 3 different things that you can focus on at any time. Most of us are trying to focus on 1,000 things. Everything distracts us. Everything is taking us to the left, to the right, all over the place, and we're not actually reaching our goals. We're not getting to the level of success that we want to have. And a lot of that has to do with your focus. Every single one of us needs to find time to sit down and focus on the things that are important, that are mostly important, that are going to help us to get to our goals. Now, when I say important, I'm talking about the thing that you have to do, the thing that has to be taken care of before you can move to the next step. And even if you're an employee and you're dealing with your supervisor, or they've given you 50,000 missions, you have to find a productive and constructive way of being able to take all of those things that they've put upon you, and in some cases delegating it out, you know, giving it to someone else so that they can handle it because they may be better at it. So again, it's also using the resources that you have in the best way to help you to achieve your goals so that you can appropriately and efficiently focus focus on the thing that needs the most attention, the thing that needs to be corrected. And once you've got that out the way, you know, you've got it out the way. You know, I think it was who was it? Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy came out with a book, and he said every morning you should get up and eat a frog. Because once you've gotten up and you've eaten that frog, you've probably knocked out the hardest thing that you're going to have to do that day. You know, so that's the most important thing so that you can get on with what you need to do. Now, again, it depends on how you look at it, but either way, remember, it's very important that a person can only focus on one thing at a time. And even if you've got 3 things, make it no more than 3, but focus on each thing to where you give it the time that it deserves so that you can actually achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Now, there's some things that I'd like you to remember. Most of us have, again, too many goals. And too many goals cause us what? Conflict. All right? That conflict causes us to not move in an efficient way. That conflict causes us to not be able to take it to the next level because it's causing confusion. And confusion causes what? Causes burnout. If you burn out, then you can't function because the simplest thing gets even harder. Why? Because you're burnt out. You're so busy dealing with so many things that you can't deal with anything at this particular point. So we all have to be really careful with that, because then there's a decline in our quality, there's a decline in our proficiency, and there's also a very strong decline in our focus and our ability to give what's supposed to get our utmost attention the utmost attention. So that's covering focus. Now, when I talk about focus, one of the other things I want you to do is, one, you need to be specific and you need to be clear. So as you're doing things, keep in mind that in order for you to create a well-crafted focus or well-crafted goals, you need to be specific. All right. The other thing is that you need to be in line with whatever the goals are. So if you work for a company, you need to know the company's goals. You need to understand what they want. If you have a supervisor, you need to understand what that supervisor wants of you and what's expected. Most of us go through our lives not knowing what's expected. We just know we're supposed to get it done. How we're supposed to get it done is like, whoa, we don't know, because nobody's told us. Sometimes you have to ask. You have to ask your supervisor, or you have to ask yourself, what is it that I want to come out of this? What is the ultimate goal that I want to reach? And what are the things that I need to put in place, or the things that you need to give me so that I can actually create that type of an environment where I can succeed at the goal? The other thing is you need to use plain language. You know, don't talk in metaphors. Don't talk in words that people don't understand. When you're communicating with someone, you need to talk to that person in a language that they can interpret, in a way that they can understand what's being said to you. The next thing is you need to put things in a bite-sized chunks. If you got a whole thing laid out, it's just like when you go to put a puzzle together. When you go to put a puzzle together, most people start with what? They start with the edges. And as they're looking at the edges, they start to build the frame, and then they start to put the pieces in, and they build basically from the outside in. And it's kind of the same thing with you if you want to actually start to execute in a proficient way at the level that you want to do. The other thing is that you need to, again, it needs to be measurable. You need to measure out what you need to do and how you're going to do it to achieve your goals. All right. And you're going to end up needing a scoreboard for that, because guess what? What we don't track doesn't get done. It just really doesn't get done. The other thing is that we need to be deadline driven. Deadline driven. You have a start time, you have an end time. And together, you need to, when these two come together, you need to have what it is that you need to have in place. So discipline number one is focus. Okay, so that covers the focus part. The next part is the measurable part. You need to measure and you need to keep score. So discipline number two is measuring and keeping score. How do you measure and keep score? You can write it down. You could video blog it. You could do whatever it is that's going to work for you so that you can keep track of where you are, where you started, where you ended, or where you need to come back to. A lot of us have the tendency to, I guess you could say, repeating work. So you need to put some tools in place so that you have what you need to have so that you can complete the tasks that you need to complete, but also keeping track of the things that you did. You know, a history. You know, it's kind of interesting. Many years ago, back when I was working law enforcement, before I started doing program management and things along that nature, I was feeling kind of down about myself. Why was I feeling down? I was feeling down because I didn't feel as though I was accomplishing anything, or I had accomplished anything. And somebody brought it to my attention. They said, actually, my significant other, she said to me, she said, what are you talking about? You've done more courses, more programs, you got more certificates and all this other stuff than anybody I've ever known in my life. And, you know, I looked at it and was like, what are you talking about? I haven't really done anything. You know, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. And the person really threw it in my face. They made me understand that, hey, you've done a lot of things. Let me show you what you've done. And they pulled out basically a folder that was about that thick. And that folder had all these certificates and certifications and all of that stuff. But again, I wasn't seeing it. Why? Because I was in the moment of not keeping score myself. I had stuff there I had done, but I wasn't actually keeping score of what it was that I had done, even though I had all of these certificates, certifications, all of that stuff. So the person said, hey, and this is a quick story. The person said, hey, you need to make an I love you wall. So I was like, okay, I love you all, whatever, whatever. And then the person got on me again, and I finally did it. Come to find out, when I put it up, I filled up literally almost all the walls in an entire space with certificates and certifications because it became a ceremony. But I kept track. I started pulling them up and I started saying, wow, you're certified in this, you're certified in that, you did this. Hey, you went here and did this. Hey, you helped this group with this. Hey, you accomplished this goal. But that was part of the measurement. Even though I had done the things, which most of us have done, we've done 1,000 things, but we're not measuring where we are. We're not keeping score of the different things that we've done. So what happens is that there's kind of like, if you look at it, there's types of measurement. There's lagging, historical look at the past and your performance. There's leading, which measuring the things that you want to measure and that you predicted that you would do and that you've done productively, but then looking at them for the future results. How the things that you've done in the past set you up for the particular present. Then there's also real time. Where are you now compared to where were you, a year ago, a month ago, 6 years ago? I know I'm kind of jumping into numbers, but actually looking at where you were to where you are, and then not looking at it just from how you feel you should be right now, but actually looking of where you came from to where you are presently. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about measuring, and also allowing yourself to make corrections. The person that you were when you started your journey is not the person that you are now. And the person that you're going to become a year down the road, months down the road, years down the road, is not the person that you were when you first started your journey. As Mr. Brown would say, one of my mentors, and the great Reno Morales, who's also one of my mentors that passed away. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Don't just, Jim Rohn would say, don't do it for the fact that you're doing it. Do it for what it will make you become, what you will become by doing it, what you will become by establishing yourself and keeping track and knowing that you're actually making progress. Again, what doesn't get measured doesn't get done, and you have to keep score to see that. So when we talk about measurements and we talk about credibility, you want to keep accurate tracking process towards your goal. You want to get from here to across the street. Every time you take a step, you're getting closer to that particular point. All right. You want to have input into what's going on and get input from other people as into where you are in the scheme of things. And I'm not talking about yes men or yes women. I'm talking about people that add value, people that you respect, people that you know, like, and trust that are actually going to be honest with you. You don't want yes men or yes women when you deal with people. All right. Influence. You want to be able to influence your team. You want to be credible. You want to show people that you've accomplished things, and show yourself mostly that you've accomplished things, and be credible. It drives me crazy when I run into all of these people that are just so inconsistent. I have a saying, the consistency of inconsistencies is too consistent. Don't be one of those people. Follow up on what you're going to do and keep track of that too. When you have conversations with people, when you meet somebody, write it down on a business card. Then get you one of those scanners where you can scan the card in, but still keep notes on who you interacted with. You never know in your journey who you're going to meet, and by keeping track, those may be people that later on you can come back to, as you work on your relationship to grow it and all of that. Because I'm also big into networking. You also want to drive the right behavior. By measuring things, you're driving the right behavior. If you're not getting what you want out of the deal and you look back, you're going to go, wow, I didn't get what I wanted out of this. The results I was looking for wasn't there. Maybe I'm on the wrong path, but you won't realize that unless you're measuring it, unless you're actually keeping score. Another thing is that you want to track the outcomes as well as the activities. It's kind of what I just hit on before. But you're tracking what got you where and what was the result from that. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So we don't want to do that. All right. The other thing is that you want to truly make it achievable. if you're 60 years old and you decide you want to be an astronaut, it's probably not going to happen. Why? Because there's health requirements. There's a certain level of education you have to have. There's certain experiences that you have to have. And by the time you finish the training, you'd be way too old. You may, if you want to be the president, same thing. It's not that your goal is impossible. It's that your goal is not likely, and it's going to take a lot more work. So you need to find things that you can act that actually are achievable, and each step is a step closer to where you want to be and what you want to do in your life. So when we talk about keeping score, that's one of the things that we're talking about. Also, you want to make sure that, again, it's something that your actions, you see the consequences for them. You know, if you do this, you're going to do that. You know, if you do this, you're going to do that. You know, if you got a test tomorrow and you go out drinking, your ability to probably take that test isn't going to be 100%. You know, if there's a marathon coming up and you decide to run it, but you've done nothing for it, the consequences are you're probably not going to make it. And you're also probably going to be sore as crap from it. So not exercising is the consequence, because you're not really, is the action, because you haven't actually prepared for it. You haven't done what you needed to do. So the consequences is that you don't get what you need to get. Plus that you need to value what it is that you're doing. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that whatever it is that you want to do, you want to exceed the minimum. You don't want to just do enough to get by. And you want to be able to, when you look at what you've measured, you want to be able to look at that and say, hey, you know, I've accomplished a lot based on what it is that I've done. And it's also given me the tools to where now I can do even more. So again, it's up to you if you really, really want to succeed at this goal. So again, number one is focus of the discipline. Number two is measure and keep score of what it is. Now for number three. Number three is transforming your lofty goals, because your goals should be huge. They really should. Why? What was the saying? If you want to reach the moon and you shoot for the stars, if you shoot for the stars and you reach the moon and the moon's really your goal, you're kind of okay. Why? Because you're still out there. You still made it to where you needed to be, which is a huge thing for a lot of us. You know, because most of us, we're living in a world where we're not even coming close to living the dreams that we were supposed to dream, or the things that we said we wanted when we were kids. Most of us nowadays are just settling. We're settling in our relationships. We're settling in our jobs, all of these different things. So you need to translate your lofty goals into specific actions. Specific actions are the goals that you achieve in order for you to get where you need to get. They're the little things that you're doing, but the specific actions that you need to take to get you from A to Z. Knowing that in order to get to Z, you have to have A, then you have to have B, then you have to have C, then you have to have D. All of these things brought together will get you through the alphabet of life, so to speak. And sometimes you may have to run that scale a couple of times. The success isn't a straight line. And that's the other reason why you need to be specific, because a lot of us are reaching goals, but we're reaching goals that we didn't really want to meet. We're reaching goals that weren't really the goals that we started out with. We're settling, but we're not doing the things to set ourselves up for the success that we want to have. Things come up. As you're going through your life, as you're working from those lofty goals to your specific actions, you're going to have little goals that happen in the process. Celebrate each and every one of those little goals. I'm not saying celebrate them to the point of you can't function, but celebrate each of those goals, each of those little successes that you reach, because each one is a celebration. So the third discipline, again, translating those lofty goals into specific actions. Those specific actions that you've taken and put into their own little categories, as you complete them, you actually know that you're making progress towards what it is that you want to do. So we need to also get rid of a lot of our old habits. A lot of us are not thinking of the new things that we need to do. I was talking to somebody else the other day, and they were talking about the fact that their agency sponsors an event where they bring in all of these particular companies, and these companies are basically brought in for 3 days, and they're supposed to sit down and they're supposed to figure out new ways that they can fix their problems. And it's sponsored by the agency that is basically over all of this, which is a very cool thing. And they get, again, all of these people from industry. Well, what's one of the problems? Not necessarily a problem with the industry, but most of us get so myopic in what it is that we're doing because we're constantly focusing on the old way that we don't look at other industries, other groups, and maybe sometimes bring in that person that doesn't know our industry, explain to them what the problem is, and then see what they say as an answer. That person is going to look at your agency or your problem with a totally different light. Why? Because they aren't already locked in to the constant, repetitious way of doing it. They're seeing it from a different vantage point. They're seeing it from a different perspective. And that different perspective is something that we need to do every day. We can't get bogged down to the point where we only think there's only 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 ways to do it. We need to be open to new experiences and think bigger. Think in a better way so that we can offer better solutions, so that we can expect different things. You know, a lot of times I tell people that a lot of our problems are mindset. We've already made up our minds that we can't do it. We've already made up our minds that it's not possible. And because of that, we end up shackling ourselves to not be able to achieve the goals that we want to achieve because we've already locked our minds into a certain cage, a certain framework, you know. So we need to pick out the specific actions, and we need to do them so that we're going to get what we need to get, but we also need to be creative. We need to plan weekly. Every morning you need to get up with a goal as to what you want to accomplish and how you want to accomplish it. Today's goal was to go ahead and knock this out, to give the people that are watching this and listening to the sound of my voice actually steps that they could take to move themselves in the right direction. Be it, again, that they're entrepreneurs or that they work a job. It doesn't really matter, because guess what? You are your job. If you're an entrepreneur, you are your business. You are your corporation. You need to be the best you that you can be, but you also need to surround yourself around the other people that are looking for the same things and looking to try to aspire to be the best that they can be, but that are also taking active action in order to get there, to get where they need to get. So plan your day, plan your evening, plan your week, and plan it all in advance. All right? Every week at the beginning of, before the beginning of the week on Sunday, plan out what your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be, and your Saturday. And then the next Sunday, do the same thing. As you reach your goals and as you experience success, you'll find that it's worth it, because you're worth it. Your family's worth it. All of these people that are involved in your life, that they should also be involved in your success. You know, a lot of us surround ourselves with people that they basically don't mean us any good, but we'll talk about that when I talk about accountability. But plan your work and work your plan. You need to translate the 3 most important things that you need to do into, again, measurable little goals, and then start working on getting them done. Stop trying to bog yourself down with 10 and 20 things. It's not helping you. You know, a really great lady by the name of Gail Cohen. Gail Cohen is an international speaker and one of the first women to break into the male-dominated speaking arena. And Gail said something to me that I thought was really amazing. I thought it was brilliant. She said to me, Z, I need you to understand something. Men are like waffle squares and women are like syrup. I was like, where are you going with this, Gail? Basically, what Gail was saying is that when men are in the waffle square of work, or in the waffle square of a mission, or in the waffle square of something that they need to do, they're totally focused on that. And that's a pretty great trait. However, when anything else comes on the outside, they can't focus on it. They're so focused on the waffle square of work that's what they're focused on. So if their wife or significant other calls them up and says, hey, you know, while they're in the waffle square of work and really in it, could you bring home some milk? 99% of the time, they're going to come home with no milk. Why? Because they were in the waffle square of work. So milk hit the ear, but it kind of bounced around and then it ran back out the ear. And she said that women are like syrup. Why? Because women, because of the way things work, in most cases, not all, this doesn't apply to everybody, but women are more able to multitask, so to speak, as in they're able to keep things in mind. It's not that they're able to do multiple things at once. It's that they're able to say, okay, I need to get milk. I need to do this, this, and this, because they've kind of linked things together. So if a woman is dealing with her kids for one thing and you say something about, I don't know, a book, that might remind her that, yeah, I got to take the kids to soccer. I need to get some milk, or dinner's got to get on the table, all of these different things. So again, for all of you that may be in relationships, it's something to think about. Men are like waffle squares and women are like syrup. I just thought it was really a cool way of looking at it. The other thing too is that there's ways that you can plug into different plans. You know, you can get the Frankly Covey calendar. You can do stuff now on your phone. You can put a scheduler in, but you need to put reminders in there, because ladies and gentlemen, I put stuff in my phone schedule and then didn't look at my phone, not realizing, yeah, you had 4 things going on that day that you needed to address. But you need to have a system in place that you're not only going to look at, but you're going to check, and get into the habit of checking it and following up. You know, if you're in a meeting, I do this all the time. I'm in a meeting, I put the phone on buzz, or I put the phone, turn it all the way off, and then I forget to turn it back up. And then when I get a phone call, you know, later on in the day, I've forgotten to do something. And, you know, or I forgot that I turned the phone off, so I never got the call. That's really what I was trying to say. So again, each week you need to have tasks that you want to accomplish, and each week you need to work on those tasks. So again, discipline number 3 is translating lofty goals into specific actions. Discipline number 4 is accountability. All of us need help. All of us need somebody to hold us accountable. You need to create yourself some accountability partners, some people that are going to kind of hold your feet to the fire, that are going to, you know, ask you, how did you do today? Did you accomplish your goal? You know, what was your goal today? People that are actually vested in your success. And I don't necessarily mean financially vested. I'm talking about mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Any one of those things, or all of those things. You can't stay around people that are stifling. You can't stay around people that are just takers. You know, a lot of us are constantly around people that don't contribute to our well-being. And I'm not saying that it's all about you or it's all about me. What I'm saying is that, one, we need to be givers to begin with. But as givers, we also need to be around other givers and people that are going to hold us responsible so that we can reach the goals. Then guess what? We can all be rich, wealthy, happy, healthy together. You know, so find yourself some mentors that have been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Okay? Also, and have them hold you accountable, and people that you respect. You know, when we first started, I was talking about you don't want to be around yes men or yes women, but you also don't want to be around people that aren't going to be part of the solution. They're not going to be people that help you to reach your particular goal. Ladies and gentlemen, as Les Brown would say, there's greatness within you. However, if you surround yourself with people that have no goal to be great, they just want to survive, they're just going to do enough to get by, they're not ever going to live their dreams, and they don't want you to live your dream either, those are dream stealers. Those are the people that talk about nothing when they should be talking about something. Those are the people that are constantly complaining about what they don't have. You know, there was a saying, it went, be, do, have. Be the person that you're supposed to be. Do the things that you're supposed to do, and you'll have the things that you're supposed to have. Success isn't a straight line. There's some stepping backwards. There's some left turns. There's some right turns. There's some hills. There's some valleys. You know, there's some ponds and puddles to walk through, and there's some oceans to swim sometimes. But the whole thing is that you're worth it. Your time is important. The only thing that any of us have is time. If you've noticed, time has become the most valuable thing that any of us have. Fast food restaurants, they've gone up by the thousands. Everybody wants it quick, but everybody wants it correct. You know, in some cases, they'll sacrifice some excellence for some speed. Don't you be that way. All right. Give it to them as fast as you can, but give them quality so that they come back. Don't try to sell somebody once. Try to make it to where you're an asset, not an ass. Try to make it to where you're giving value, not somebody that's just taking. Also, that's another thing. A lot of us give, give, give. You need to give, give, and then ask. Give, and then ask. If you're running into people that are constantly taking from you and they're never giving back to you, or when you ask them for help, those are people you need to remove. If you're talking to somebody and you're talking about the positive and they keep bringing up the negative, that's somebody that you need to remove from. If you're in a job, understand that a job is just a step to the next step in your evolution. Don't think that that job is all that in a bag of chips. It's a job. It's somebody else's dream. Your job, in a lot of ways, is somebody else's wig. It's somebody else's wildly important goal. And you're helping them to live that goal. They're living it through you, and they're using you and your time to help them magnify their dreams and their time. So you need to find accountability partners, and you also need to be a person that is going to do the right thing. So that's pretty much number 4. What I want to do is really go back and I want to talk about the keys to remember. 1, you need to make sure that you have a clear path. Okay? You also need to understand that sometimes you're going to have refuges. Sometimes you're going to need a moment to yourself. Sometimes you're going to need that motivation. And you also need to know that there's going to be people out there that want to get in the way and don't want to help you. Those people that don't want to help you, you need to either remove them from your path or you need to find another path if they're on it so that you can get where you need to get, because fighting them is not going to get you where you need to get. The other thing is that you need to find alternatives. Everything that you want to do isn't going to work out the way that you want it to work out. But if your mind is open to what's going on, you're going to see that new direction that's the right direction, because it's still leading you to your ultimate goal. It's still leading you to your path. Also know now there's no shortcuts. Okay, we run the Zurriane show. That's been going for 2 years, and it's grown to over 38,000 people. So please turn into that. Again, Blog Talk Radio /Zurriane. But when you listen to those shows, we're trying to bring quality. Well, that growth that we've experienced isn't because we did one show. It isn't because we were famous. It's because we continually bring quality to other people to help them grow and to help them develop. So when we go back to accountability, 1, you want to schedule your time and have goals that are clearly workable for you. Also, you want to find sponsors and mentors that are going to help you with your wig, help you with your wildly important goals, and help you succeed. I'm not saying do the work for you, but people that are going to take you in the right direction. All right, you need to work with a team and create a team that you can work with. And if you can't work with that team, find a few people in the team that you can work with and work with them. You need to do what's necessary for you to realize the goals that you want to realize. 3rd, you need to establish a practice of using the things in your job to help you, and let people know that if you don't have the tools that you need, what it is that you need. And the other thing is be specific, as in finding out what it is, what do I need to accomplish my goals, and what is actually expected of me. You know, it's amazing how many people don't know what their company's objective is, don't know what the goals is. You know, their supervisor or the owner will come to them and say, I want you to do this, this, and this. But nobody explained to them how they want to do it. What are their resources? What are their tools? What can they use to actually reach this lofty goal that everybody's looking at for them? So ensure your team members have real influence over the goals. Do you always have influence over the goals? No, but you have influence over you, and there's other people that want to achieve the goal. The goal is to get what you need to get. So also being accountable, being responsible, being a person of character, not a character. Those are things that are going to help you to get influence and develop influence. All right, don't get sidetracked into the things that aren't really important and aren't part of your goal. If it's not part of your goal, then maybe you need to bring it to whoever's attention that, hey, that's not what we're focusing on right now. Let's get this done, and then we can focus on the other thing. Or this is something that we shouldn't be focusing on at all, but doing it in a tactful way. Don't allow or suffer people that are going to waste your time. Your time is the most valuable thing that you have, and it's not negotiable. You don't get it back. When you work a job, even when you're an entrepreneur, your time is money. So you need to make the best of the time that you have. All right. The other thing is that you need to recruit internal champions. You want to recruit people that can help you gain time, help you gain clout, help you gain the tools that you need that you need to get to. And also you need to work on yourself so that you work to get them. Don't expect anybody to give you anything. All right. The other thing is that you need to be reliable, and you need to create clear goals that you want to accomplish through your team and get them to help you to create that clarity if you don't have clarity now, the understanding. So that's discipline number 4. Discipline number 5 is you. Every day when you get up, usually the most challenging thing that you face in your life is the person that's looking back at you when you go to brush your teeth, when you go to comb your hair, when you go to look in the mirror. You have to look at you. What do you want out of your life? What goals do you want to succeed at? What are your dreams? What's your personal wig? What's your personal wildly important goal? And then looking at yourself, who do you need to be to get you there? What do you need to do to get you there? I see too many people that are waiting for someone else to give them the answers. I see too many people that want to blame it on the higher power or what have you. If it's meant to be, it's up to you. There's people out there that'll help you. There's great people out there. There's people out there of phenomenal quality, phenomenal skill. But you have to find the people that jive with you. You have to find the people that align with you. You have to find with the people that are on the same march and the same path that you're on, to growth, to development, to being the best that they can be. Because most of us don't do that. Be it that you're married to the person, or it's somebody in your office, or the person on the street. You have ultimate power. You have ultimate control. You are not using that ultimate power. You are not taking advantage of that ultimate control. You are trying to blame somebody else for what's happened in your life. All right. My favorite saying is, I got it from Kung Fu Panda. I forgot who the person was that really said it. But yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. And that's why they call it the present. This is Zurriane of, again, the Z Success Team, the Zurriane Show, and now the Z Hangouts. And I hope that this information has been useful. I hope that you've gotten something from this, almost 40 minutes that we've spent, and that it's of quality. If I can help you in any way, please reach out. Please also share this with others that you may think will find value in it. And check us out on the Hangout. Listen to the Zurriane Show. All of those shows are recorded, and there's over 400 there. Let us be a positive part of your life, a positive influence, because you're clearly and most definitely a positive and a guiding light in ours. We thank you for your time, your patience, and everything that you're doing. Live the dream, do what you need to do, take your time, focus, be specific, and do the things so that you have the life that you want to have. Again, this is Zurriane of the Zurriane Show saying, take care, be well, and we hope to see you on the Z Hangouts. Actually, the information for all of the above should be right below here, or right below here. And again, we look forward to interacting with you. Also, check us out, Google Plus, Google Hangouts. Friend me. I'd be more than happy to talk with you, and hope that we can work together and find some great success. Again, take care, everybody. Godspeed, and I wish you a happy and lovely life. Farewell. See ya.